Welcome everyone to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And what do we have for you tonight? Xbox turned into a transformer with rumors of a 2026 release of their next console named Xbox Prime. That seems pretty stupid even for Microsoft, but I think a couple of people might have something to say about that. First one being Transformers and the second being Amazon. But, with their new slogan, everything's an Xbox, even your Prime membership's an Xbox, I guess, and Optimus's ass. You just play your Xbox right on it. More boneheaded stuff that Microsoft is doing. This is all rumors, though, right? This was some stuff that was released online by a leaker who's supposedly, on his game and has leaked stuff before that's, come true. So he's kind of reliable. The Ghost of Hope is the person who leaked this. But according to him, it's supposed to be, Microsoft's releasing next year alongside of the next Call of Duty with the Xbox. I don't know what the thing is behind with Xbox Prime. I guess they're tired of using actual numbers. So they'll just do like Prime numbers, it's Xbox Prime 1. Be Prime 2, so on and so forth, or Xbox Prime, the last of the Xboxes, so, because with their new strategy of everything's an Xbox, nothing's an Xbox, at that point. But we'll have to see, with Xbox selling current gen consoles at a loss to kind of get gamers into their ecosystem, and then the PlayStation just coming out with the Pro here not too long ago. Xbox really been silent. They haven't done anything. They didn't release a mid-gen bump like they did the previous one where they came out with the Xbox One X. So this year they just stuck with their Series X and Series S and came out with like the Series X Galaxy, and a few color variations of the Xbox, but nothing hardware increasing. No increased hardware, no nothing. So, it's another nail in the coffin for Xbox on, them basically becoming a publisher and a game development studio. They want to become the Steam of consoles, but Sony's not going to play games with that. They'll let Xbox push all their games to them, but they're not going to push their games to Xbox. Sony will be happy to see the demise of Xbox. So, as soon as Xbox stops selling consoles, Sony will declare a winner. So I don't know, man. It just seems like every time I read something about Microsoft these days, I'm just like, I just do nothing but shake my head and go, really? That really what you're doing? I hope that this isn't true. Xbox Prime seems like a stupid name for the console, especially because there's already stuff out there that's way more famous than Xbox using the Prime name, like Optimus Prime and Amazon Prime, so, but maybe that's their whole ploy, right? We're not really a thing. We're just we're the console version of Steam. That's what we want to be. And eventually, Microsoft will do what Steam does, and stop making games, because Steam doesn't need to make games anymore. They just sell games from other people on their storefront. Occasionally Valve will put out a game, but Steam's like, I'm good with just making 30% off everybody else's games, unless you're an indie, and then we'll go a little lower. But I can't. Does Steam do 30% for indie developers, or do they think they do a little things lower on like Project Greenlights or not Greenlight, but their indie developer projects? I can't remember if it was 30% for them. Yeah, but that's where Microsoft wants to be. They want to be just a storefront, it sounds like, and then they'll publish games and they'll publish it on everything and its brother, claiming that everything's an Xbox when nothing's an Xbox because they don't make an Xbox anymore. They'll just make games that they basically will be Stadia, and then when they go bye-bye like Stadia did, we can be like, well, when you destroy your ecosystem by making stupid bonehead moves and alienating your fan base, then, you get what's coming to you, unfortunately. But, I find it kind of hard to believe that the next gen console from Microsoft will be out next year, because that leaves little over a 6-year bump from when the Xbox Series X came out, X and S, which technically we usually see about an 8-year gap in consoles. But Microsoft put out a has been typically putting out mid-gen bumps, right? Because when we had like the outside of the Xbox, the original OG Xbox, you had like the 360, and then they came out with like 360 Elite, and then you came out when they had the Xbox One, they came out with the Xbox One X. And then now we got to the Xbox Series X and no mid-gen bump or the series consoles. So maybe that's their ploy. Sony put out a Pro in 2024. Microsoft's like, we'll just answer with a brand new console in 2026. We'll see. I don't know if I believe that or not 6 years after that, but a lot of information was leaked when the big old lawsuit was, when the FTC was investigating them and everything for their buyout of, Activision Blizzard. So a lot of information became public due to that lawsuit and everything. And we knew they were working on their console and it listed 2028. But Phil Spencer had mentioned during some interviews that some of that information was out of date. Microsoft's also rumored to be making a handheld, but when you decide you're not making consoles anymore, everything's a handheld, right? I'll be able to play them on my Switch, or my Steam Deck, everything, my Armor, my Lenovo Armor, or any of those things, right? So, for me, I'm just like, whatever. What else is in 2026 is also what their 25th anniversary of Halo is in 2026. So maybe they're just trying to do some big hoopla thing. I don't know. But if you can't tell, I'm a little bitter with Microsoft. They've done me wrong, I feel, with their screwing around with Game Pass and jacking the price up beyond belief and above what it's worth, in my opinion. And then essentially just signaling their exit from the console market. In my eyes, the things they've done are signaling their exit from the console market. So they're abandoning their player base is how I feel. So I'll be honest, I could give two shits about the next Xbox console. I'm not that interested right now. Nothing has got me interested in it. More so, I mean, I love their ecosystem. I love their dashboard. I love all that stuff, but I haven't turned on my Xbox in hell. I can't remember last time I turned on the Xbox. I've been playing everything on PC, and then I'll only go back to PlayStation for the exclusives, So, it's turning back into time, right? I originally was a PC gamer, and then I got into like Xbox and PlayStation after, a while of getting out of those. And what I mean by while is I didn't own an OG Xbox. I came in on the 360 era. I didn't grab a PS1. I think I didn't even grab PS2 back in the day. I skipped that, and I jumped into PS3 and had one since a PS3 and an Xbox since the Xbox 360. And then, I slowly migrated away from PC. I mean, I have always had a PC, but I've always played MMOs and RTSs on that kind of stuff and turn-based games. But now I've migrated back to primarily being on PC, and that's where I dumped my money into. If it wasn't for Sony having their exclusives only on PlayStation and coming out, they are putting some of their exclusives out on PC, but it's 6 months to a year out. Now, if they did day one and release on PlayStation and PC like they did Helldivers, which obviously that's Arrowhead, but they convinced a lot of their first party, their first party developers, the developers that they pump some money into to only put out on their console. But and then Switch, the occasional Switch only game. So, Nick, what do you think about all this stuff with Microsoft, these rumors and the console release date and the name? And, do you think they're going to do something big for the Halo 25th anniversary in 2026?
If they do something big for Halo, there had been some rumors a while back that I had heard about a remake of the original Halo combat involved. So you could see something like that, like a remake of that come out. I don't think the next iteration of Halo from the Halo studios would come out during that time, but maybe a remake of the first one, right? Because that's what started Xbox off, was the original Halo on the original OG Xbox. So, if I could see them doing something like that. Xbox Prime. Yeah, Xbox is always bad with their naming conventions. They always have stupid names. Maybe they're going to do a collaboration or something like that with Amazon, with the Luna, right? A Luna integration into the Xbox. And that's why they're calling it Prime. Because if you have a Prime membership, you get Luna on Xbox for free with your Prime membership, right? And so it's the Xbox Prime in collaboration with Amazon. I don't know. That's yeah. I mean, it's a weird name. I mean, why don't they just call it "This is an Xbox"? Like, just do that. Like, they did that whole ad campaign. Just put it, or just name it Xbox, right? And then just have that the flagship name of the console, just Xbox, right? Um, I know. I mean, we could go back to the original name, right? It's been long enough. No one would think you're talking about the original Xbox at that point. You couldn't start numbering it. Like, what number would this one be, right? At this point, would that be 4, or would it be
Xbox Prime 1, and then everyone after it's just a prime number. Has to be a
Well, we
prime
thought they
number.
were going to do that with the series, right? We figured since they're calling it series, then you would have Xbox Series whatever, right? So it's always a series version of it. I mean, they could do Xbox Series Prime, but that sounds like a show on Amazon or something.
Right, but see, the next year they can do Xbox Prime 3 and then Prime 5, Prime 7, and
See,
11.
they could have done Xbox Series X squared for for the second one, right? And so on and so forth. I mean, we could have done some cool stuff with that, but no. Yeah, I don't know what Xbox is doing. I mean, it does definitely sound like or feel like they're going in the route of getting out of the primary console market, right? They might still have a console or some sort of device in the future for streaming, but they're not going to have it. I don't think they're going to have a dedicated box in the future, right? This might be the last one you get in that case. It'll be interesting to see if the new Xbox plays discs, right? Or has a disk drive, because they did come out with that white Series X that does not have a disk drive. It's a Series X. It's white, but it does not have a disk drive. But I think it also has 2 terabyte storage on it, kind of like the Galaxy did. But the Galaxy has a disk drive, I believe. So, if I remember right. So it'll be interesting to see if it does or not, right? I mean, discs are kind of going out the way the Dodo, as well as everything else did, cassettes and VHSs and everything like that. Discs are starting to dwindle out because just games and various things are getting so big, and internet is getting so fast that most don't necessarily need to have a disc to, most of the games we get nowadays don't even have the full game on the disc. You just download a portion of it, or maybe it just doesn't download anything, right? There's nothing on the disc besides the activation, and then it downloads the entire game from the internet, right? Some are like that. So, or some come with no discs at all in it, right? It's just a case, and then you you have a download code inside. So, yeah, I mean, that's the way Xbox is going, and I'm with you. I'm not interested in the new Xbox. I have no interest in it. I've always been a big console gamer ever since I was a kid. I've always had a PC, but and I play everything as well as my PC and stuff like that. But lately, I've just been nonstop on my computer. I don't know the last time I turned on my Xbox. I'm not sure when it was. I turn on my PlayStation occasionally. If sometimes my kids get on my computer, so if they're on the computer, I'll either grab the Portal or sit down and turn on the PlayStation and play something on there. But my Xbox pretty much is just collecting dust in the corner, or I'll watch anime. One of the one of the two things. If my kids are on the computer, but yeah, I've started to just invest more on the computer side of things, right? Because Sony does bring their games to PC eventually. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't, if there's a Sony game that I really want to play, that I wouldn't buy it for my PlayStation and play it, right? Because it's usually a year or so after, or maybe 2 years before it comes to PC. So, if PlayStation changed it to where it was day and date, I probably wouldn't own either console. I'd probably just have my PC and that'd be it, right? But which is a big change for me. But I mean, like, I feel like the days of the console are kind of going out the door for me anyway. Like, and it's mainly because of a lot of having to do with PC, consoles and PC. It was cheaper to buy a console. I mean, it still technically is, but you can get a really nice PC that will pretty much play everything. Yeah, you'll have to spend a little bit more money up front, either a pre-built or building your own, but that can last you for a long time, right? Before you have to upgrade it again. And then when you upgrade it, you don't have to buy a whole new box necessarily, depending on your motherboard and other components, but you might be able just to upgrade it, right? And stuff like that. The 5090 is coming out. It's only $2,000. So
Hell, I was drooling over Nick's 4090 card, and now I can get me a 5070 and it'll be better. So it's $600, $700. So I was I just bought a 4070,
but
and I got a 4070 Ti Super in mine, and I'm like, damn it, I spent $600, almost $700 on that. I might as well just buy me the 5070.
Yeah, because 5070 was supposed to run the equivalent of the 4090.
4090 and be $600. And I'm like, yes, please. So if I don't buy another Xbox, that's $500 that I could just
even the 5080 was only like $1,200, I think, something like that. There's like a big price difference between the 5080 and the 5090, but
so. But yeah, I'm in the boat you are, man. I mean, and then that'll save me, probably next year it'll probably be $700 a console or $600 a console. So.
Right, that too. Consoles are getting more expensive. They're getting up there to the price of a computer, and it's like, yes, computers are fundamentally more expensive, but it's not like it was back in the day, right? It doesn't feel like it to me. It feels like that line between console and PC has kind of merged in a sense. They're not that far away from each other. So it's like, well, I can do everything on a PC.
Yeah.
Play every game I want to play, especially with Xbox. I can use any controller. You can use the DualSense because PlayStation has that software where you can use, they have the PlayStation controller app software that you can use to use the DualSense controllers and stuff. Mm-hmm. So you can use any controller you want. So if you're mainly a PlayStation guy and you're like, hey, I like the controller, great. Just connect your controller to your PC and there you go. Yep. You can play all your games with it. And Steam offers a lot of great, and third party as well, offer great, support for controllers, especially if a game doesn't natively support it. You can download software, or maybe even Steam might be able to do it, where you can utilize that controller if you really wanted to play something with a controller and it doesn't natively have it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just all there for me. I mean, yeah. But the name with the Xbox, yeah, it's silly, but it'll be surprising to see if it comes out next year. Yeah. That would be surprising. It feels a little too soon. But and then especially to see like if it does come out next year, and then what are the specifications on it, and what kind of media is it going to use, what is it going to look like, will it have Luna integration? I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, part of me feels bad for Microsoft because we talk about this all the time. Exclusives for consoles is kind of rough for a non first party game, right? I can understand Sony saying, well, we don't want to put it on Xbox, and Microsoft saying we don't want to put it on Sony, but Microsoft often does things first, and then Sony will begrudgingly come along and first thing that comes to mind is like crossplay, right? At first, Microsoft's like, oh yeah, we'll let you play crossplay. You can play with PlayStation, and PlayStation, Sony was like, hell no. And then eventually they got enough gruff from their fan base. They were like, okay, we'll do some crossplay, and but I don't ever think that Sony will do day and day releases on Xbox. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Or PC, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they get closer and closer with PC.
They do. I think the line between PlayStation exclusives coming out on PlayStation and PC,
Mhm.
I think that line will get shorter. I don't think it'll
Yeah.
get day and date, but I think that time frame will be a lot shorter.
Yeah. And yeah, and so, but we'll, with that, we'll see. But I do see Microsoft going, like you said, Nick, to something like the NVIDIA Shield, right? That little underpowered device that's just a streaming device, and plug in your controller and stream games to it. And I'm not interested in that. Definitely not interested in that. I don't care. I'm just not interested in it. Because no matter what happens, the internet is not foolproof. It's not perfect. And if I want to play an RTS or a first person shooter and I'm going to have latency issues or screen problems because I'm freaking streaming a game, I don't want it. I don't want the hiccups and the gaps and the poor performances that come along with a system that's designed around traffic collisions, right? IP protocols are built around, hey, I hit a collision, let me back off, and retry my connection. Well, how many frames lost is that? How much packet loss is that? It's not flawless, and there's a number of factors that can affect that. Your home network, devices on your network, your service provider, the things between you and the Microsoft data center or any cloud provider data center. Video games are real time. As much as you don't think about that, they are real time, and real time play. For the most part, not all games are real time, right? Some of them can handle a little interruption or a little packet loss, but for the most part, if you're playing, things that I don't play a lot, like online PvP, you don't want any of that. But at the same time, when I'm playing an RTS or a FPS that's not online, is not PvP, but maybe PvE, and we're playing against bots, I still don't want that. So I don't think that's the direction that this stuff should be going. This isn't a movie where you can buffer, 30 seconds to a minute or however far ahead along in the movie you can buffer. You can't buffer a game, because you don't know what the player is going to do. You don't know where they're going to go. Only thing in buffer maybe is some shader stuff, but since the local PC is not doing any of the processing, then any of the GPU stuff is worthless. There's no reason to preload any of that crap. Server's doing all of it for you. So I don't streaming's just not for me. And I'm with Nick. I move more towards my PC. And if next gen consoles come out and they're $600 or $700 a pop, well, I've just saved myself $1,200, $1,400 on two consoles, because I likely won't get the PlayStation until something comes out that I just got to play, and that's how it was before the PS3. Like, what brought me back to PlayStation, to be honest with you, was Horizon, Horizon Zero Dawn. I just had to get that game, and I bought that game with a PlayStation 3 bundle so I can play it. And I've had a PlayStation ever since. Played The Last of Us because it came with it too. It came bundled with The Last of Us, like a remake or a remaster or something. Not a remake, but a remaster. And loved it, and ever since then, I've been buying PlayStation exclusive games because I've had the PlayStation. But that's all I play on there. It almost feels like a waste sometimes when you get 2 to 4 PlayStation games a year and you're like, well, I spent, a few $100 on PlayStation games, and the console just sits there and collects dust the rest of the year. But I know that I'm not like the majority of gamers aren't like us. I don't think they own everything and things like that. They pick and choose where they play. And one of my buddies had a PlayStation for God of War Ragnarok. And guess what? Once he beat it, he sold the PlayStation in the game and doesn't care. And I'm like, what? So I'm just like, I'll just stick with the PC, I think. And then, when the Switch 2 comes out, and then when a game comes out that I just got to play on it, I'll get it. Same thing with the PlayStation. But Xbox isn't going to make anything for just themselves. So I don't have to worry about that from them. So that's automatic savings of right there. The only thing I do miss is sitting on my nice cushy recliner and playing video games. Because I'll tell you what, office chairs or desk chairs or gaming chairs aren't as comfortable as my recliner.
You can still do that. You can just get you an HDMI cable and hook it up to your TV.
But I like my big ass monitor, and my monitor is a lot better than my TV because obviously my monitor was made for,
Right.
high end gaming, whereas my TV, not as much. I mean, obviously it's made for
get
console.
You a nice
gaming
chair.
Yeah, I do. I need to spend the money on but here's the bad thing is, like, gaming chairs are $600 or $700, you can get a lazy boy recliner for $400 or $500. And I'm just like, how the hell does that make it make sense to me?
Right.
That this chair that's like 1/4 of the size and weight of a lazy boy is as much, if not a couple $100 more than a lazy boy recliner. So that to me is always a hard thing. Cause I really, when I was in the office, and beforehand we had some Herman Miller chairs and things like that. And those were super comfortable, but I'm not spending thousands of dollars on a damn office chair.
Yeah, those are super, super expensive.
So, and I spend a lot of time in my chair because I work on it from home, and then I slide on over to my gaming PC, in the same chair. So, I do need to spend the money on a good gaming chair, but I like the distance from me to my monitor with this size monitor. And then, but my recliner, there's no way I can do this with the recliner. I can't put the recliner this close to this. And, so.
Right. It doesn't sit high enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'll eventually just be at the point where I'm like, I will get a better gaming chair. My only problem is like the ones I want to try, you can't just go in the store and sit in them and, plug around in them. You got to buy them online and hopefully you like it.
And hopefully it's good. Right.
$500 to $700 on it, and I frequent the Reddit forums and check out what people's buying for gaming chairs and stuff. And I'm like, but it's so great. You'll read like 5 or 10 awesome reviews on a chair, and then one review just kind of sticks in your mind. You're like, was that going to be me that's uncomfortable in that chair?
Right.
So, but, Microsoft makes dumb boneheaded moves. We will see what the next console looks like, if it's going to come out next year or if it's going to be 2028, like it would almost seem. If it does come out next year, what is the performance bump and how is the performance compared to the PlayStation Pro, PS5 Pro? If it doesn't compare, then we already know Microsoft's phoning it in at this point. That'll just be more proof positive that they're phoning it in. Because I do think that their business strategy is shifting, where everything's an Xbox and nothing's an Xbox. So there won't be anything as an Xbox console. It'll just be Microsoft Gaming at that point. Xbox will be the name of their storefront or something. I don't know.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I think it's a sad topic for me because I used to love Microsoft's Xboxes and, and their dashboards and all that stuff, but I just bitter now. You got anything else you want to talk about, Nick, before I punt the Xbox like a football?
No, unfortunately, it's a sad state, especially for gamers like us. Just how much has changed since we were younger to now. The how consoles were perceived back then as today, they don't feel the same as they used to. So
they lost the magic, especially Microsoft. Xbox has lost the magic. So, we've reached the end of this episode. If you're not subscribed to us, why not help us out? We need to get those subscriber numbers up, that way we can, we'll still probably be doing this years from now, even without the subscribers, but it also just helps. It's good to see that people are out there watching and, hit that bell to get notified when we put out new videos. We put out multiple videos every week for the most part. We take a few weeks off here and there, but for the most part, we're putting out new videos. And let us know what you think down in the comments. What do you think is happening to Microsoft? Do you think we're going to get a console next year? What do you think they're going to do for the Halo 25th anniversary that's next year? And do you think they're going to be around after this next console generation? Do you think they're going to make consoles? Or are they going to becoming a game publisher, developer only? Are they going to become the next Steam? Try to become the next Steam, I should say, because I don't think they could pull it off. I don't even think they could be the next Epic, but that's just me. You don't get free games from Microsoft unless you subscribe to Game Pass or something, and then they're not yours. They're just good when the rotation comes in. At least Epic just gives it to you, So let us know what you think down in the comments. And as always, we hope you just enjoyed this episode and hope to catch you in the next one.